inspiration of young von Braun.
Specifically for von Braun, it was the discovery of the book by the German language pioneer Hermann Ober, The Rocket in Interplanetary Space in 1923. Von Braun discovered the book as a schoolboy at the end of 1925 and the beginning of 1926 and became absolutely infatuated with the idea of space travel.
Von Braun's obsession with space consumed him. Once a mediocre student who failed at math and physics, he now excelled in whatever subjects would lead him out of Earth's atmosphere.
I mean, the German army had been restricted in a lot of ways by the Versailles Treaty that ended World War I. Specific weapons, specific sizes of armies and navies were specified, but new weapons, the treaty they didn't know about what the new weapons would be, and so there had been no particular stipulations against the development of rockets. So the German army, once they get wind of what von Braun and some of these other amateur rocket groups are doing in the early 30s, they realize that there could be some significant military potential.
He was made technical director of a new research center on the northwest coast of Germany, near the cold waters of the Baltic Sea, in a town called Peenemünde. Here, von Braun, still a young man in his 20s, headed a team of more than 400 workers. His task? To turn his amateur rocket technology into genuine weapons of warfare.
Of course, they'd been working on a shoestring, and now all of a sudden all this money and big facilities are available to them. World War II is still some time away, and von Braun, to his dying day, always stressed that he was after was rockets for the purposes of going to the moon and exploring space. Just so happened, Nazi Germany intervened and Adolf Hitler was there, and World War II happened, and the work of von Braun and these other rocket experts became part of the Nazi war machine.
In the spring of 1945, as the Allied armies advanced further into Germany, von Braun and others from the rocket team at Peenemünde gathered as much of their work as they could and retreated south, eventually ending up near the Austrian border.
And there's a very pragmatic decision that we want to be captured by the Americans, because in the post-war world, that's the environment that we would see ourselves working in, and this is the country that would take our technology and run with it. So there was a quite explicit plan to get the V2s disassembled and get as many parts as they could and get as many of their people heading in the direction that they knew the American army was, so they would be surrendering to the right side.
Eager to put warfare behind him, he began trying to communicate his vision to the American public by writing a novel in which he outlined a manned mission to Mars.
For his novel, he developed a whole architecture, space shuttles, assembly in orbit, space station, and going to Mars. So he had all of this calculated out.
In 1952, Wernher von Braun got the publicity breakthrough he'd been looking for. As Americans were still fighting and dying on the battlefields of Korea, Collier's magazine published a series of articles outlining von Braun's audacious plans for manned space travel. The brilliant illustrations by Chesley Bonestell brought von Braun's plans to the public in dazzling color and ignited the imagination of Americans young and old. In the summer of 1958, with Congress's urging, President Eisenhower relented his hardline budgetary restraints and signed the National Aeronautics and Space Act. With it, NASA was born, an agency dedicated to the peaceful and scientific exploration of space. The space race had begun.